Hello, this is my weekly leadership toolkit for Chapter 9 that covers citizenship. To start off, I thought that it was interesting that it talked about collective responsibility, and the part that really stuck out to me is the fact that in Latinx culture, there is this mindset of caring about the whole family or La Familia, and I think that this has to do a lot with just the way that I personally navigate college or the way that I'm navigating grad school right now. I tend to connect more with people that come from the same culture as me, but it's also a very different connection that I have with other various parts of my identity as being a woman. And I think that it's definitely interesting because here at Brown, I feel like I definitely connect with other people more, and it's more of in my opinion, just looking out for each other, making sure that we're all connected to the right resources, that even if we're not in the same field, people just really care about, you as a person. Even when I'm at the dining hall at Brown and there are other Dominicans and Puerto Ricans who just kind of look at me and kind of assume I speak Spanish, even though I tell them oh, I don't speak Spanish. They're always oh, it's okay. You're still with us. You're still a part of us. And they often just try to make me feel I don't know. They always just try to support me, if that makes sense. So they're always looking out for me, and I know every time I come in, they're always excited to have a conversation with me, and it's that feeling of just belonging that's really important, even if we are in different types of jobs, even if we're in different socioeconomic backgrounds, different parts of the country. I think that there's still that connectedness and that deeply rooted feeling and belonging to the family. Another part of this chapter I found interesting is the community defined part. And it was a student in an American Indian leadership course said, quote, this is on page 179, quote, "A community is a group of people tied together through some defining link, such as ethnicity or geographical region. I belong to the University of Maryland community, the College Park community, the upperclassmen community, the Prince George's County community, the activist community, and the American Indian student community." I thought that this was really interesting just because the student lists all of their encompassing identities as part of being a part of this community, and so that brought me to think about how my various identities impact my belonging in those communities. I'm saying the word communities a lot, but I think that one aspect of my identity that I feel I'm trying to learn more about is the fact that I'm not first generation. I feel sometimes there is an assumption made about me as a person. I'll often walk into spaces and people will automatically assume I'm first generation, and I'm not. So that's part of that's a weird part of my identity, but I feel I'm still trying to find community in the fact that I am not first generation. That's often very surprising to people, and I wish that it wasn't surprising to people. My grandpa went to college, my mom went to college, and people often look at me just for what I look like and my last name, and they automatically put that assumption on me. And so part of me searching for this community is trying to challenge that notion that no, Latinx people, people of color, BIPOC students can go to college and they can break that that notion that we're all first generation students. And then moving forward in the chapter, so the chapter also described empowerment and privilege, and the fact that some people do feel more connected to a community based on their privilege. And this is often, I feel a part of when I was an RA in college, and just seeing the way that students were either involved in campus or maybe didn't necessarily get themselves involved. And I feel a part of that really had to do with access to campus resources. Some students just didn't know about certain organizations on campus. I didn't know about campus offices, and I feel that was something that I immediately came into college looking for and seeking out. And I feel for some of the students who might actually really benefit from having those resources, they're not actively looking for that community because maybe they don't even know it's there. And so that was something that I tried to work on when I was an RA, is trying to just make sure that people who are maybe a little bit more reserved from student organizations at least knew what they were about. And I was often trying to encourage, especially our male students at Fontbonne. It was always very much a female student leadership experience at Fontbonne. There were a lot of males that were somewhat leaders, but didn't necessarily get involved with student organizations. And I always tried to challenge that with my residents, and especially encourage males and also like males of color to get involved at Fonfon. And but I do think that often, like, students, when they don't have that resource readily available, they aren't as willing to find that community and search for that community for themselves.